Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Ad America TV. Back again with me, Fifi. And I want to welcome all of our audience and members joining us online tonight. And I hope you guys are doing well. And of course, staying safe during this pandemic of COVID-19. And for those of you guys who are joining for the very first time, Ad America is the U.S. Embassy American Center here in Jakarta. And our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. And yes, we're temporarily moved to a solely digital platform. But don't worry, you can still enjoy us from the comfort of your own home. And tonight we're going to discuss about building strong CVs or resumes and letters of recommendation for U.S. graduate school applications. But before we start the event, I'd like to break the ice with a little game. So I already have the question for tonight's event, and the question is it true or false? Purdue has released a new Master of Science degree. I repeat the question one more time. Is it true or false? Purdue has released a new Master of Science degree. So you guys can answer the question by commenting at our live in every social media platform that we have. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our website and our YouTube channel. And for those of you guys who are joining through Zoom, you can just answer the question by commenting at the chat box section. And for those of you guys who wanna give a question for the Q&A session later on, just drop your question at the comment box for each platform of our social media and drop your question at the chat box section. Alright, I think that's it for me. I'll see you guys again at the end of the event. One more thing, don't forget to take a selfie and tag Ad America's Instagram account during the event. Alright, and now I think we're ready to start the event. I'd like to pass it to our speakers for tonight. Please welcome Vina Alatas, our Education USA at America advisor.
All right. Thank you so much, Fifi. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining in. My name is Vina. I'm one of the advisors for Education USA based in Ad America. And tonight is very exciting. This is part of our monthly event. And it's really exciting because I see some of people in the audience who have been attended our past events, and then they are coming back again. So I'm really excited. Thanks so much for joining in again. But I would also like to say hi to everyone who is watching this event from our different platform, because not only in Zoom, but we are actually also on different platforms such as Facebook, Twitter. We are also live on Instagram. We are also on YouTube. You can also watch us from Ad America's website. I'm very excited. Please stay wherever you guys are watching this from. And if you have any questions or comments, we already have our team making sure that all the questions and comments will be read by me later on. So feel free to leave it in the comment wherever you guys are watching this from. All right. But if you also want to join the crowd here in Zoom, you can also do that. You can go to Ad America's website and then register there. And then if you already have your Zoom app on your phone or on your laptop, then it will automatically let you guys here. All right. And per usual, if this is your first time, I'm going to give you a little bit of introduction about Education USA. But if this is not your first time, you already know what I'm gonna share with you guys, right? Okay, so let's see. What is Education USA? Just in case you're wondering. So we are part of the U.S. Department of State network. We have over 400 international student advising centers in more than 170 countries. So as you can see here, we are literally like everywhere. And what we do here as an advisor is we provide you with, we assist you every step of the way if you want to study higher education. So bachelor's, master's, or PhD. Or di Indonesia kita bilangnya S1, S2, atau S3. All right. And all of our services are free of charge, that's for sure. In Indonesia, not only in Ad America, but we actually have a total of 8 centers with total of 10 advisors as well. So we have 2 in Jakarta, 1 at the U.S. Embassy with David and Iqbal, and then 1 in Ad America, of course, with me and my colleague Santika. And then we also have 2 in Surabaya, 1 at the U.S. Consulate General, and 1 also at Unair with Amber there, and at the U.S. Consulate General with Hesky, by the way. And then we also have 1 also at the U.S. Consulate there in Medan with Jeffrey. We have 1 in Malang, Universitas Muhammadiyah with Zaki. We have 1 in Makassar, Universitas Fajar with Cendani. And last but not least, we have 1 in Banda Aceh at UIN Araniri with Lilis. So if there is no Education USA Center where you live, you don't have to worry about it, because basically all of us here are covering the whole country. So you can reach out to the nearest center, or now that you are here with us with Education USA America, why not use our service? So what we do, we provide you with 5 steps. So we start with step 1, which is research your option. So if you know that you want to study in the US, but you don't know where to start, let's sit down together virtually and then let's talk about some of your options to study in the US, right? And then once we pass that step, we can move on to step 2, which is finance your studies, because that's equally important, right? We're going to talk about some of the funding options for us international students. And then once we also figure that out, we can move on to step 3, which is completing your application. So for example, the event tonight, this is part of step 3, obviously, because we're getting more technical, right? We are ready to submit the application, which is we're going to talk about the resume, CV, and letters of recommendation. And then a lot of things going on for sure in step 3, because we can also take a look at your essay. That's, like the most favorite service that a lot of people come to Education West Side America. But then, there are a lot of other things that we can cover in step 3. So if you have questions about standardized tests, should you take TOEFL or IELTS? The difference between GRE and GMAT. How about SAT or ACT? So there are a lot of things that we can talk about in step 3. And then once you have all of the documents, we can move on to step 4. So you're going to submit all the applications, and then you're going to wait for the university. And then when you get accepted, the next step would be applying for your student visa, right? We are not going to apply the visa for you, but we're going to guide you every step of the way, the step-by-step on applying for visa, all right? And then last but not least, we have last step, prepare for your departure. This is part of our annual event where we give you a lot of information before you depart to the United States, all right? So meet with the advisors here in America. Again, my name is Vina, and I have my colleague Santika somewhere in Zoom going to interact with you in chat. But later on, after my presentation, Santika will join me during the Q&A. So the good news is that, yes, America is currently not open for public, but the advising sessions is still, just like usual. Before the pandemic, we available every day via Zoom from Sunday through Saturday from 1 until 9 p.m. So Santika will send you the link for the Zoom, but I leave it here as well. It's an open room, basically. Our advising system is first come, first serve. So technically, you don't have to make any appointment. You can just come in from 1 until 9 p.m. And as long as there is no one in the room having a session with either with Santika or myself, you can basically just come in. But if there is someone else already in a session, we're going to put you in a waiting room, and then we're going to give you, send you a quick message telling you that, hey, there's currently a session going on, feel free to wait, all right? Or you can email us first if you don't feel like just coming into Zoom and say hi to one of us. You can email us first to our email center here, jakarta.atmerica@educationusa.org. You can, introduce yourself if you want. You can share with us a little bit about yourself, about the plan before we, talk one-on-one via Zoom. Next week, you don't want to miss this. This is also part of our monthly events. So every month we have 2 events, such as tonight, the resume, CV, and letters of recommendation. And then the other one is how to write a statement of purpose. So this is very, very important as well. If let's say the deadline for the universities is not until next year, and you're still in the process of writing your essay, or you are about to write your essay, this event is basically for you. We're going to have it next week, same day, Thursday, same time at 6:30. And on Saturday morning, please join Santika and I. We're going to have, just simply talking, full of discussion. We're going to take a lot of questions from you guys. Any questions that you guys have regarding studying in the US, we'll be able to answer that during this event. So it's going to be on the Saturday, December 19th at 11 a.m. Okay? You can register to these two events on our website already. You can go to the Education USA official website, educationusa.state.gov, or you can go to AdAmerica's website, and then the Zoom link is already there. If you click on the events, and then you can register there. And then I think a day before the events, you will receive kind of like a reminder so that you won't forget. All right, are you guys ready? Please take notes. This presentation will be about an hour, 5-10 minutes. So please take notes. And if you have any questions, feel free to type it and share it wherever you guys are watching this from. And then I'll be able to answer that after my presentation. Okay. So tonight we are going to talk about how you can build strong CVs or resumes and letters of recommendation, not by you for the letters of recommendation. You'll hear me talking about that later on for U.S. graduate school application. Okay. And I love this slide to start my presentation because to kind of like refresh your mind that can we agree on this list basically? So these are the list of the requirements if you want to study in the US, right? So we got TOEFL or IELTS. They're going to ask you for college transcript. They're going to ask you for a CV or resume, letters of recommendation, something that we're going to talk about tonight. And then the standardized test, our favorite, or maybe not, GRE or GMAT. And this is not for all programs, by the way. Just for certain programs, but the majority of the programs will require one of this. And then last but not least, the statement of purpose. I don't put this list on a specific order. So it doesn't mean that I put GRE or GMAT or statement of purpose, at the end of the list. It means that it's the least important documents. It's actually quite the opposite, especially for statement of purpose or personal essay. It's really, really important, right? Which I definitely recommend you to join the events next week. So let's dive in through it. So let's talk about CV and resume. How are they different? And let's take a look at that. What's the difference between CV and resume? So let's start with CV first. CV stands for curriculum vitae. It's a Latin word. It means course of life. So as you can see here, let's stay here a little bit longer. Course of life. It means basically everything that has going on in your life, you're going to put it in CV. However, you don't want to put it before college. Okay. This might be new information for some of you guys because sometimes I still see some people put, like your high school, your junior high, including, like some activities before college in the CV. But I would like to tell you guys right now, yes, it means course of life, but it starts in college. Okay. And also with CV, it's a document of over 2 or more pages, right? Technically, there is no page limit on CV, but you will want to have more than 2 pages, a minimum of 2 pages. So what is in the CV? It's a high level of detail about your achievements and more than just a career history, because again, it stands for course of life. So technically, you will want to put everything in there, including, like your volunteer experience and all that, right? So it covers not only just education, everything. If you have teaching and research experience, if you have publication, awards, presentation, honors, and then maybe you're looking at this and then you're saying to yourself, oh no, I don't have like teaching and research experience. Fina, I don't have presentations. Fina, I don't have like any honors experience like in my past experience. Don't worry, this is just to give you an example of what's in the CV, right? If you have it, then that's great. If you don't have it, that's okay too. All right. And also with CV, it's static. It means that it doesn't change for different positions. So you keep adding things, you keep adding new information to your CV. So whatever that you already have right now, well, probably you will want to modify it a little bit to the US version. But once you have that, from here on, you're going to just keep adding new things, new information to CV. You're not going to change anything in there, right? Now with resume, it means summary in French. So I think here in Indonesia, we are more familiar with CV, but not so much about resume. So hopefully this is something new for you guys. So resume, it means summary. Well, the way I look at it, it's a summary of CV, right? So it's a concise document, typically not longer than 1 page. Now, here's the interesting part. Some of you probably already have what you call CV, but it's actually one page. So if that's the case for you guys, it means that you technically have a resume, not CV. Because like I said earlier, CV when you have a minimum of 2 pages and more, right? But that's okay. Now you know what is CV and what is resume, right? Resume is also it's a summary. Again, it's a summary of your CV. So it's a summary of your experience, education, and skills. Something that you can take from your CV. Every time you see someone ask you for a resume, it means that the intended reader or whoever asked for it will not dwell on resume for very long. All right, because it's a concise document. Whoever asked for it, they just want to look at it real quick, right? But the goal is to actually make your status, your application status stand out from the competition, but they will want to do it real quick. Okay. And then also with resume, you will want to adapt the content to every position or purpose on what you are using that resume for. All right. So if you're using your resume for applying to law school, for example, then you will want to modify the content of your resume to something that is related to law, be it your past experience, being a lawyer, maybe, right? So those are basically my 2 slides talking about CV and resumes. Very short, but hopefully new information for you. So let's wrap it up a little bit here on the 3 major differences between CV and resume. So it's about the length, it's about the purpose, and then it's about the layout. And what about it again? So with CV, it's long, right? Because it's a minimum of 2 pages and more. And resume is the shorter version of it. So you will only want to have one only. Okay. With CV, when we talk about the purpose, it covers the entire career, right? You put everything in the CV. With resume, you will want to adapt to what you want to use it for. So if you already have CV and then you want to make resume, that will be easy. Okay, because you just take all the relevant information from CV to your resume. All right, and then with the layout, CV is static, and then resume is highly customizable. Okay, so let's take a look at what the resume looks like. Maybe real quick, I would like to ask the team because I think there's a glitch in my voice. Hopefully not, but okay, let's. Yeah. So I'm going to show you both documents. So left side is the resume, and then the right side is CV. So on the left side, I can easily say that it's a resume because this person doesn't really dwell too long on giving the information is very, very short, like every black, and then the information like phone numbers, email, address only in one line. Whereas on the right side, you can see the person is actually don't really care about the lines, because again with CV you can have as many pages as you want, right? So the person here, Joseph Tenure Track, actually put every single line on the address here. All right, and you can also do that as well. But the similarity between the 2 documents is contact information is always at the top, and I don't really see this as a problem when I see the US version of CV, because we usually already put the contact information on top. We want to put US letter, which again we don't also see that being a problem here. We want to stick with size 12 for the font and keep it to professional font. And then in terms of the color of the paper, this is a little bit interesting, but please stick to, if you don't have it already, please stick to white or light cream or gray. Oftentimes I see a lot of us, trying to be creative. And I know it looks really refreshing when you have, colorful type of paper color. But for the US, please keep it to these 3 colors, okay? And then here, after the contact information, the next thing that you want to put there is the education and then work experience. And then after that, basically you can have whatever you want in terms of like the category that you want to put in there. So usually after education, work experience, or you can call it professional experience, however you want to call it. And then after that, you can basically have whatever, right? If you have a lot of teaching experience, you can put it there. If you have a lot of research experience, you can put it there. But please be mindful again with resume, because you want to only have one page of the resume. So you will want to pay attention to like the margin and then the information being given as well. So on the left side is a resume, and then as you can see, every bulleted statement is no more than 2 lines. Okay, so you will want to make the information very concise there as well. But on the right side, as you can see here, I don't know if you can see it, hopefully you can. The person doesn't really care about like how long the information being given. So you can actually go to 3-4 lines, however you want. All right. No I statements. I don't really see this. Well, you know what? Actually, I see some people put an I in the resume or CV, and we want to avoid that. In terms of like the content, you want to put it in the chronological order or most recent first. I don't really see this as a problem either. No photo included. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that on my next slide. And in terms of reference, it depends. If you're going to make a CV, well, technically you can put reference in there. If you have a resume, unless you still have some space, you can. But oftentimes, the majority of my advisors, they no longer have space to put references, and it's actually okay not to put one, because technically your referees will be the one who's going to write the letters of recommendation. So technically, it's okay not to put references in the document. So this is kind of like just the overall look of what the resume looks like. Just one page. As you can see here, it looks just words, right? Probably if you compare it with what you have now, it's so different, right? This is almost looks very, like boring in a way. And I totally understand. And I totally agree with that as well. But I totally understand why this is the case for US resume, because now that I've been, like looking at resume more often. And then do you remember when I said earlier that whoever asked for the resume, or who asked a resume, it means that they don't want to spend too long reading the information in there. And then having this type of resume, it's very neat, because I can get all the information that I need from this resume in like 30 seconds, right? All the timelines is on the right side, all the categories are on the left side, education, your name on top, and it's just very neat, something that I can read very quickly. Okay. And then this is, I know, so I'm sorry guys if you can't really see it, but I just want to give you like a glimpse of what it looks like overall. But this is like what the CV looks like. This is like the first page. As you can see here, it's pretty similar to resume, a lot of words, but as you can see, like a lot of bulleted statements, sub points, and then, each bulleted statements can have like 2-3 lines, because, well, technically there is no page limit, right? And then this is what it looks for the second page. The person here actually has a lot of category that this person wants to put, and that's actually okay. So this person puts publication, additional training, research grants, honors and awards. But then again, guys, don't worry if you don't have any of this, but just put things that you believe that you have. If you have a lot of volunteer experience, like I said earlier, or you have a number of leadership experience, you can put it there as well. So let's take a look at what CV and resume, like how is it different in Indonesia? This is the fun part. I love this part. So tell me, please say like shout out in the chat if you are here in Zoom or wherever you guys are watching this from, maybe like on Instagram, if you guys have almost similar CV that looks like this. I know I blurred all the information, but something like pretty similar in terms of like, we got the name, address. Well, that's that's, like the US version also have that. But let's take a look at the personal data here. I would like to spend a little bit more time here. So, we got nationality, we got sex or your gender, and then we got marital status, we got date of birth. We also have place of birth. Do you guys have any of those on your current CV? If you do, please shout out to us. We just want to just want to know if you guys still have the Indonesian version of CV. So what is wrong with the CV? And then on the right side or wherever that you put it on your CV, there might be your headshot in there as well. So let's take a look at the list on how is it different in Indonesia, right? So first of all, no picture, because almost all CVs that I see or resume, there's always your picture in it. However, if you want to use it for US universities, you can actually just take it out. No picture, okay? No religion, because technically in the US they don't really care. First of all, they don't really care what you look like. They don't really care what your religion is as well. No marital status either, because they don't care if you're still single or you're married or you're divorced or all that, right? And technically no other personal information, right? Like your place of birth or your date of birth. They don't need any of this, right? And they have a reason. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history of it, just real quick, right? In the US, they have what they call the Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So what is that? Is a federal law that prohibits employers from discriminating against employees on the basis of sex, race, color, national origin, and religion. So as you can see, these are basically the information that our CV currently has, right? A female or male, and we put, like date of birth and all that, right? What is interesting about this Title 7 is that it also applies to private and public colleges and universities. So since we are having this presentation specifically for graduate schools, this is also applies to the resume or CV. Okay, so now you can brag about it to your friends. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about like the technical aspect of why, like how the grad schools in the US ask for CV and resume for. So CVs are used by individuals seeking basically, like studying in the US in grad schools, like fellowship, grants, postdoctoral position, any teaching or research position, master's degree in general, or PhD. Right? Graduate schools application, they usually request for a CV, but sometimes there are some schools that might ask you for a resume, or I actually have seen schools that ask for a combination of both. Now that sounds weird, but sometimes when they do ask that, they give you the outlook of their own version, and if they actually have that, it will make your life very, like easier, because then you can just follow the outlook, right? But don't forget that the U.S. universities, they ask you this document. I don't want to say that this is the only documents that they will take a look at, because in the U.S. they really review the applications holistically. So meaning that they're asking you for a CV and resume and letters of recommendation and essay and everything. And all those documents are equally important, right? So you don't want to underestimate CV over essay, or you don't want to underestimate CV over your GRE or your GMAT. Okay. Resume and CVs, it can be a useful way to present yourself holistically. So this is why I have CV and resumes every month, and it's always a week before the essay, because these two are the resume or CV and the essays are basically like, a really great example to represent yourself holistically, something to tell the admissions committee about yourself. It's clear that in the resume and CV, it's something that, about your education background and your activities and your professional experience, right? Whereas in the essay, it's all about your intention, your purpose of studying master's or PhD, something that I'm going to talk about next week for sure. But these two documents, I feel like it's quite important, right? And don't forget, again, like with resume, you will want to adapt the content to what do you want to use the resume for, okay? So you also want to pay attention to what the university is really asking for. Are they asking for a resume or CV? Okay, I actually get a lot of questions from people asking, "Hey, Fina, so they're saying, like submit a resume or CV. Which one should I um, choose?" So if that's something that you also kind of curious about, please let us know. I'm going to answer that during the Q&A. Okay. Basically, that's it, guys, about CV and resume. It's very concise, it's very straightforward, but I feel like I need to share this every single month to as many people as possible, right? Because I just see how our CV here in Indonesia, or actually elsewhere, this is like what is interesting, right? Like US always has like their own style in terms of like CV and resume, or like even with essay. That's why these two are very important, and that's also why these two topics are our monthly session in our monthly session, right? So with CV and resume event, like when you put like headshots and all those personal information that I just told you not to put in the US CV or resume, technically everywhere else outside the US they use it except the US. So I think that what makes the US is different. Very unique, right? Okay, so now let's go with letters of recommendation, because we also get a lot of questions about this. So let's take a look at it. So what is actually a letter of recommendation? And I actually don't know if the US version of letters of recommendation is pretty similar to our letter of recommendation here in Indonesia, because I actually have not seen one. But I'm going to share the information about letters of recommendation for the US version, right? So it's a detailed discussion from the referees or the recommenders of the personal qualities, accomplishments, and experience of you that sets you apart from the other applicants. And I want to stop there first. Sets you apart from the other applicants. Please remember this term, sets you apart from the other applicants, because you will realize that I am going to use this a lot on the essay presentation next week. So the way I look at it, letters of recommendation is almost similar to essay, only that with essay is written by you, but letters of recommendation is an essay written, well, it's not an essay, it's a letter written by someone else who is or who can vouch for you, right? So in that letter, the person will basically talk all the good stuff about you, right? And why you are supposed to be in the program and stuff like that. So who are the referees here? It depends on what the university is asking, but usually it's either academic or professionals or maybe both, right? So when they're asking from academic, they mean by faculty members, okay? When it comes to professionals, it's a lot. You can choose. It can be your supervisors. It can be your, like your big boss, or technically someone above you. Okay. And please be mindful that the best letter writers or the best referees are those that know you well. I think this is what sets the letters of recommendation apart from the US version and the Indonesian version. Because I feel like here in Indonesia, people focus more on who writes the letter, and not so much about whether the person actually really know you. So now I want to make it clear. the referees or the recommenders have to be someone who really know you well and can provide an evaluation of your ability. The shorter version of this last bulleted statement is someone who can vouch for you, someone who can talk really highly of you. Okay, so how important are letters of recommendation when you are applying to grad school? Well, it's quite important, right? It's required for almost every graduate school application. I have not heard so far universities that do not ask for a letter of recommendation. Other documents like your transcript, your standardized test scores like your TOEFL or SAT or GRE or GMAT, and your essay, they may factor in very heavily on your documents when you submit your application, but letters of recommendation can play a huge role, right? It could be the deciding factor in the admission process. So so pretty similar to your resume or CV, you do not want to underestimate the importance of this letter. The, the whole point of me saying is you want to have all documents. You don't want to underestimate any documents. The one that I showed you in on the first slide, those 6 lists of requirements, you don't want to underestimate those, okay? Including letters of recommendation, including essay, including everything else. An excellent recommendation letter. Why is this important? Because an excellent recommendation letter can make up for weakness. Remember when I said to you that in US universities, they review your application holistically? This is what I mean by that. Holistically means that everything has to be balanced, right? So let's say you have just an okay GPA, just an okay transcript. When you have that, but you have like a really strong letters of recommendation, then it will balance out the okay GPA, right? So that's why you want to make all the documents where we have control over to make it so good. So like resume and CV, do you have any control over the content? Absolutely. How about letters of recommendation? Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you're not the one who's going to write it, but you definitely have the control over what is being written by telling the recommenders, by giving the outline on what you want the recommenders to write about in there, right? And then essay also, right? And so now you know why we have these events every month, basically, because I want to focus on something, on documents that we have control over. Okay, GPA, do you have any control over? Well, it's already in the past. If you have like an okay GPA, then there's nothing we can do about it. But then it doesn't mean that you shouldn't apply to US universities. On the contrary, we still want you to apply, but then we have to make the other documents really well. I hope you get what I'm saying here. All right. Okay. So how many letters of recommendation that the university usually ask? Well, it's varied, but generally you will be asked for 2 letters. Sometimes they can ask for 3. So again, similar to resume and CV, you will want to pay attention to the requirements because some universities, they may tell you, submit 2 letters of recommendation without specifying who should be the recommenders, right? If that being the case, then you can basically choose either someone from the academic or someone from the professional world, right? But then there are also some universities where they really specify it. They are asking for 2 letters of recommendation, and then they specify the requirement that one has to be from academic and then one from professional. And if that's the case, then you have to follow that requirements. Okay. You need to make sure. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this is the case here in Indonesia, but for letters of recommendation in the US, you will want to make sure that each recommender will say something different. So if right now you're thinking that your best skill is your leadership skill, for example, right? Like start from when you're still in college until now, you have like a really strong leadership skill. And then you are asking the academic person and then the professional person, and you don't want those 2 persons to basically tell you to talk about your leadership skills. So you need to pick one, okay? And then the other person, you will want to think about what other strong skill that you have. Okay, so technically you can be upfront and talk to them about what they are going to say. You're not supposed to be the writer of the letters, but you can actually help them or tell them what's supposed to be in the letter, right? And please make sure you give your recommenders plenty of lead time. I know being procrastinate is fun. We all do that, but please, because this is something that someone else is writing for you, please don't ask the letter, close to the deadline, and give them, like plenty of time for that. Okay, you will want to eventually pester them to get the letters on time. Well, technically, you don't have to be afraid of this, but it's nicer if you actually ask them ahead of time instead of, like close to the deadline. I don't want to dwell too long here. This is just something that you at some point will encounter when you are about to submit your application. Most, if not all, the online portal, when you're about to upload all the documents, will ask you about FERPA. And then they will ask you basically if you want to waive your right or not to review the recommendation letter. There is no wrong or right answer here, but the short answer is just yes. Real quick about it, it just means that letters of recommendation in the US, they really see it as a confidential letter. So it means that it's supposed to be a letter that you're not supposed to know the contents in it. So if you say yes, it means that you are kind of like waiving your right to read it, right? And if you say no, that is actually okay too, but then it will raise question to them because, oh, why do you want to see what is in it? Is it because you know that the contents is not good or something like that? So, but then again, there's no right or wrong answer. But if you get this kind of question, simply say yes to it. Okay. Technically, if you say yes, it means that they will assume that you don't know what is in the letter, because again, like I said earlier, letter of recommendation in the US, they see it as a confidential document. But once you get accepted, they will kind of offer you if you want to read what is in it. But then I find it really funny because then if you already get accepted, who cares about like what is in the letter? But just in case you want to know what is in the letter, you can ask them after you get accepted. So, who should write the letters of recommendation beside what I told you on my previous slide, that is supposed to be someone who knows you well. So who are they again? Who should write exactly this letters of recommendation? So number one, like I said earlier, it has to be someone who knows you well, know your work, someone who really just know you really well, right? Like know you long enough to write with authority, someone who can describe your work positively, someone who has a high opinion of you. I think that's very obvious, right? I mean, if you don't have a good relationship with your supervisor, for example, why would you ask that person to write you a letter of recommendation, right? So I'm pretty sure like you already, like know who should write the letter who should write this letter, okay? So, and then the next thing that you want to do when you basically know who will write the letter of recommendation is that you will want to provide all the necessary information. You don't want to just kind of like tell them like, hey, Pak Bu, I'm applying to US universities. Can you please write a letter of recommendation? I'm expecting the letter to be ready in 2 weeks. You can't really do that, and please don't do that, right? First of all, the referees may not remember everything about you, and second of all, you are asking for someone else's help, and when you do that, you don't really want to bother them too much, but make them really want to make it for you, okay? Referees. Maybe not all this information at once, but if you can kind of like give them a heads up about all this, that would be really nice. So you can, if it's the academic person, for example, maybe your past professors, or maybe someone who helps you in your thesis, right? You can share with them your transcript to kind of like refresh their memories, right? Or you can share with them your resume or CV. If you have your essay draft, that would be even better. to give them a better idea of, oh, so you want to study master's or you want to study PhD for this, some courses that you've taken with them, or maybe your research experience, right? Give them information about your internship or other applied experience, right? Some awards that you've won. Well, basically all this information can be in your resume or CV, right? And then you can also, please also tell them about the programs that you want to apply and the universities that you want to go to as well. And then don't forget about the due date. That's why I told you earlier that if you can, um, like ask them ahead of time, then that will be nice as well, right? And then how early, right? How early? If I can imagine, if someone asked me to write someone a letter of recommendation, I would say 2 months or a month or 2 months way ahead would be very ideal. But if someone asked me and they said, oh, the deadline is like in 2 weeks, for me it's a bit bothersome, because then it's kind of like you giving me a job, something to do, right? Well, technically yes, but then like it's kind of like in a hurry in a way, right? And we don't want that. So Fina, the recommenders, I already know who are going to write the letter of recommendation, but they asked me to write it for them. I can do that, right? I've seen a lot of people actually did that in the past. The answer is definitely not. Definitely not. Okay. You are not supposed to write the letter, and this is also one of the reasons why I have this every single month, because it's very common. It's very common. I don't know if it's a common thing like elsewhere, but it's very, very common here in Indonesia, where when it comes to letters of recommendation, you are the one who's writing it. And ethically speaking, it's not right, right? It has to be the recommenders. The referees are supposed to be the one who's writing the letter. And then I have like bunch of lists, bunch of excuses that a lot of people gave me when I say that. So the first one is technically, people come to me and they said, yeah, no, but the referees refuse to write it. When I explained to them that they have to write it, they refuse to do it. So, well, there you go. If the referees refuse to write it themselves, easy. Try to find other referees. Maybe it's not easy to find the right person, but then it's just the way I look at it, it's quite clear that if after you explain to them why they have to be the one who writes it and not you, but then they still refuse to do it, the way I look at it, it just means that they don't want to help you in a way. So why not try to find out the referees, right? I mean, I've seen a lot of my advisees where the referees are really excited. Referees ask you to write it for them. You are not supposed to say yes. Probably before this event, you don't know, and then you probably already say yes to it because it's very common here in Indonesia. Or maybe you heard your friends or someone else is doing that. Now you know with this event, right? If they are asking you to write it, you are not supposed to say yes. Remember when I said to you that the way the universities are looking for this letter is very confidential, and then it's called letters. It's a letter. It's supposed to be a letter that is being written by the referees, not you, right? And then maybe another excuse on why that person doesn't want to write it for you is because, hey, I'm not like capable on writing it in English, so please just write it, and then I'm gonna give it a go, right? You are still not supposed to say yes to that. And if that's being the case, you can just say to them that it's okay if they want to write it in Bahasa in this case, right? And then you can offer them to find them storm translators, and you being the one who pays for the documents, of course, but you can actually tell them that, okay? The reasons why is really, really important, and the reasons why you're not supposed to write the letter is because the admissions committee, they really take this supposedly confidential letters seriously. And I'm giving you one story based on my experience, right? Like when I just started Education USA in America, at the time I didn't really know how important letters of recommendation. And at the time, to be honest with you, like I thought it is actually okay to for us to write it, right? And to the point where I say yes to some of my advisees who wanted me to take a look at the letter. And then one day, I'm working with this student, right, with this advisee. And then that day, we are supposed to review both the essay and also the letters of recommendation. So I read this person's essay first. And then please remember that I'm fully Indonesian through and through. English is not my first language. Bahasa is. And so when I reviewed the essay, I'm done. I was like, like I'm done giving the review and everything. And then the next document that this person gave me is the letter of recommendation, right? And then as someone who is not an English native, I can totally see the similarities in the writing style, both of the essay and then the letters of recommendation, to the point that I asked this person, you wrote this letter of recommendation? And then this person said, yeah. And I said, no, no, you can't have this, because I can totally see that these two documents, the essay and the letters of recommendation, are being written by the same person. And I can catch that, someone who is not an English native. Can you imagine how fast the English native speaker, which is the admissions committee here, catch that? And if they ever catch that, if they ever found out, they will definitely reject your application right away. Like, I'm not kidding you, they will reject your application right away. Applying to US universities is all based on honesty, right? So you don't want that. You don't want to risk that. You don't want to risk your future just because of you writing your letter of recommendation. I know now I'm, like, sound like I'm scaring you, but yes, I'm trying to like scare you, because this letter of recommendation is really, really important, and you do not want to underestimate this. Okay, so done with letter of recommendation. We are almost at the end of my presentation. I'm going to give you kind of like the outlook, like what I did with resume and CV, of what the letter of recommendation looked like. What I'm about to show you, what I'm showing you right now, it's the old school type of letter of recommendation, where they still want the referees to upload like a letter, like with the letterhead and all that. I see now a lot more and more universities, they don't do it like this anymore, but it's more like, like with the new technology and everything, now a lot of the universities, prefer to give a link to the referees, and then the referees will open that link, and then it will go, like to this website, and then they will, like there are questions, and then there are boxes, and then the referees technically just like write all the information in there, right? So it's not like ladders, but just in case you still have some universities that, still ask the old school type of letter recommendation, this is basically what you can show or you can share the referees. So, the usual, the letterhead, it can be the university letterhead or the company letterhead. And then, like the sender's name, the dates, the referee's name and all that. And then this is quite important. This is just kind of like to give you an idea that you can share to the referees on what is in the letter, what can be in the letter. So usually the first paragraph is, like the introduction paragraph, where the referee is just talking a little bit about themselves, like how the person knows you. And then the second paragraph is the real deal. The next paragraph is the real deal, right? Like the second paragraph is when the referee is picking one skill about you. So here, Jane is, has, highly intelligent and has good analytical skills. But then oftentimes, like in the past, I see a lot of people just simply explaining what good analytical skills are, but that's not like what we want. What we want is the referees to actually give an example on how you have this specific skill. So maybe pick, like one moment, like one story where you actually really practice the skill, right? And then the second one, the person actually continue talking about like how Jane has excellent communication skills. But then again, similar to what I said earlier, you don't want to just kind of like explaining what good communication skill is, but then you want to, the referees wants to kind of give an example of when Jane has good, excellent communication skills. And this is when you can actually give the referees the story, right? Like, okay, so maybe you can talk about me how I probably, like have good leadership skill, and then you give them the example. Like, do you remember when we did this project or whatever, right? And then the next paragraph, the person can kind of like go on a personal level. But it's up to you. It's up to the referees, basically. But in this specific example, the person is actually talking about Jane on a personal level, how Jane is like, disciplined, industrious student, with a real pleasant personality, right? And then what happens on the next paragraph is kind of like the person kind of vouching for Jane, how Jane would be like a really good candidate for this specific program, and then just end it right there, right? And that's like basically what letter of recommendation looks like. Okay, and I know this is small, but I just want to give you kind of, like the outlook. It doesn't have to be this long, but if the person wants to write this long, that's okay too. Some can write just like 3 paragraphs, and that's totally okay. Okay. And don't forget to send a thank you note. It's really important sometimes once we, are pretty much like done with what we need. We tend to forget, but please send a thank you note. Okay. Get one of the Education Website America advisors to check your resume or CV. And how about letters of recommendation? Absolutely not, because again, it's supposed to be a confidential letter, but at the same time, you are in control over what is in the letter by helping the referees to kind of like refresh their mind, to help them write the letter. But they are still supposed to be the one who writes the letter, right? So what we do here, Santika and I, we only able to take a look at your resume or CV. Okay. Good luck and question time. I'm going to check with Santika here. Santika, how are we doing?
Hi, Fina. Thank you so much for the, true and true presentation. It is very detailed as usual, and we have a lot of, not a lot of questions, if we compare to our usual sessions, but we have a few questions based on your presentation, and that's a good sign that everyone is learning. So we have, let's see, one, two, three, five. We have about 6 to 7 questions. If we don't have more later on, usually as we talk, we will get more questions, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call a shout out to them, those who ask questions from Zoom. If you are watching us from other platform like Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or Twitter, and you want to ask us a question, go ahead and send your questions in the comment box, and our team will pass it to us, Pina and me here, so we will be able to answer you. Okay. So Ikwan actually asked earlier during your presentation early on how to make CV and resume strong enough, while I basically doesn't have any organization experience to write. So all of this question in Zoom I tried to answer. So I just want you guys to check it on the chat box, and because you guys don't reply on it, so I just want to make sure that you guys know that I'm replying in the chat box. But yeah, I'm just gonna repeat what I actually answered on that question from Ikwan. And the timing is really perfect, because after Ikwan asked this question, you actually said, um, give what you have. Like if you don't have, organizational experience, focus on maybe your other experience, like maybe your volunteer or your leadership or your seminar or whatever you have. So in this case, I told Ikwan maybe your work experience. Maybe you want to highlight your work experience if you don't have other things outside of your work and your education, just to make it more detailed and give more achievement in that area. So you
Yeah,
have,
and if I may add to that, I think I didn't mention it during my presentation, but oftentimes when people are giving the bullet statements on your working experience, we tend to just put about like just the job description and that's it. But don't forget, you can actually put your achievements in there as well, right? So I think it's really important, something that you can kind of like show off, that maybe you got, yeah, whatever. So yeah.
yeah. And on top of that, I just want to add, while I remember this, a lot of advices actually come to me with their CV and resume, and that's how we kind of love it, right? Fina, you love essay, and I actually kind of prefer CV or resume. But if you send me your CV or resume, that's already in the US template and in English. If I don't have like a lot of things to comment on or to ask you to revise, I will kind of like just send you an email in the reply that, oh, look, just minor input here, this and that. So we don't go to the Zoom just for that, because especially during this time, we have so many advisee come to us with their essays as the deadline is approaching. So I'm just trying to be more efficient to let everyone can get our guidance. And aside from that, so the students or advisees came to me with not a lot of them, but just a few of them actually want to apply to Harvard, and they actually ask a very specific details for your CV or resume. So all of you, if you are writing your CV or resume to certain schools, especially highly selective schools, uh, look very closely in the section where they ask for your CV or resume, and in what kind of details that they ask for. So the school can ask, or the department can ask for, like, specify your salary, and if you have any gap year, you need to mention that in your CV or resume. So those are the things that you need to pay more attention to. You want to give what they are asking from you. Okay, you don't want to miss that part, regardless of the template that we usually share, Fina, or what you have shared. Does not contain like salary, how much equivalent approximately in dollar, US dollar. But if they ask for it, you will need to include that. Okay, that's that. And I'll move on to the next question from Uis Desi. Is it okay if I put my research paper on CV or resume that is not relevant to my goal to study in the program of pursuing a master's degree? So my answer in chat box for this, Vina, is actually I said yes if you have space. That's one. Two, if you are applying to a master program that also will have some sort of research, even if it's not specifically on the research that you have done in the past, like what you have experienced on. But the fact that if the master degree or program have certain research program or course in it, it will help them to think that, oh wow, you have some research experience regardless of the topic. That's what I think. But if you have anything to add, feel free
Yeah,
to.
no, I totally agree with you. With CV, basically put everything. With resume, exactly. If you have some space, you can definitely show off your research experience. But yeah, completely agree with Africa.
Yeah, cool. So we have a few recurring attendees of our event. We have Yan here. Hi, Yan. And we have a lot of new names tonight, which is a happy thing. So Yan have a question here. Hi, Fina and Sandika. Most of my superior at work has left Indonesia as of COVID-19. What do you guys think if I use the same letter to apply for multiple universities? So what I have in mind right now is what letter of recommendation that they wrote to you in the past. If you can pull up on me here in the chat, and I'll get back to you with Tina.
Mm-hmm. But
So,
but technically, yeah, I mean, if you're applying to, like, let's say, for different universities, the recommenders can technically write the same thing, if especially if they have, like, exactly the same questions. Um, uh, if they are using the link system. right? Sometimes they have questions, and then if it's pretty much the same, then yeah, they can use it. So yeah.
But yeah, either way, I think even if they left Indonesia already, doesn't change the fact that they supervised you in the past, and they will be the one who submitted. So I don't think that's a problem, especially if it's
Yeah,
feasible.
it should be fine. It should be
And
fine.
and they are the one who will be uploaded either way ya, Vina. Either it's the old style, upload the file, itu juga bakal recommendernya yang upload, or the link, it will be just directly to the recommender's email. But yeah, applicants won't be the one who will have to upload it either way. So yeah, while you were presenting, and you actually give me a thought of this question, Pina. So you ask if the requirements on the university website state submit CV or resume. Like they don't say CV or just resume, but they state two, and they just say either one will be fine. So you ask all of us here if you're confused on which one you should submit, then we can ask you. So here I am. What do you think?
And sometimes people like because CV has
Mm-hmm.
more information in there. A lot of people think that if the university is asking resume or CV, it means CV. And then the way I look at it, no, it's either one. So even if you have like if you can compile all the information, all the relevant information into a resume, technically they will thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you don't if you have a hard time making a one page document, then submit your CV. It's just like whatever that you already have with you now.
Yeah, I will summarize that by saying which one represents you better. So if you have, let's say, more experience and that you are applying for, let's say, PhD, it makes sense that you have more experience to say. And so I think CV will be better for you because you can put in more details there. But if let's say, you're a fresh grad and you're applying for a master, I would say if you don't have a lot of things to put on, maybe resume is more concise, and that can be better for you. So yeah, I think you can just choose one and not like kayak tadi Vina bilang CV or resume, it means CV now. Okay, it really depends. Okay, I'll move on to a question from Rizky Amandarani. How about if the recommender is our colleague in the office who knows us better than our boss?
Mm-hmm.
Jadi yeah, it's the colleague, not the boss, that knows us
I
better.
actually got this question a lot.
Yeah.
And I wonder, guys, ya yang lagi nonton, is it something that is common here in Indonesia? That a colleague can write letter of recommendation? Because I actually got this a lot, and
Yeah.
then the answer is it's always same. It's no. It can be your colleague. It has to be someone above you. So the closest one is your supervisor. So but colleague, I mean, I have never heard
Yeah.
of a colleague being someone who is writing a letter of recommendation. But yeah, it has to be someone above you, right, Santika?
Yeah, so what I answered in the chat box juga sebenarnya, they need to have the authority. That means that they and capacity to write you a letter of recommendation. In a sense, kayak kalau mereka yang nge-supervise kamu, yang ngasih kamu lecture, intinya is just at least a level above you in terms of like hierarchy wise, kayak di university atau di tempat kerja, they need to be somehow at least kayak yang ada authority of you gitu. Jadi kalau sama-sama colleague, especially maybe you guys come in the same time and everything, then I don't think the person have the capacity and authority to give you that. But again, itu juga tergantung. Tadi aku tambahin, it's a case by case in each of the university in a way. Kalau misalnya kan banyak juga yang nanya, ini aku nyambung aja sih. A lot of people ask it, but I only started to work here for like 2 to 3 months. I don't really know the supervisor well or my boss really well. How do I, ask for a letter of recommendation if, they don't know me that well? I'm not sure that they want to support me. And especially if you ask from your workplace, that you're still new there, they feel like, oh, you don't want to work here. So they're hesitant to ask the supervisor for that. So it's a case by case where you can contact the university, the admission office. Um, you just email them directly. Don't hesitate on that, and tell them your situation. And usually it's a case by case thing that they can. If you kind of like suggest that, can I replace the letter of recommendation from my workplace to the one from my university or my lecturer in the past, and sometimes they can say yes to that. Okay, yeah, I think that will help. No. So next question is from Ikwan. Do we have to prepare letter of recommendation, or the university will ask the referees directly? If the latter, how do we anticipate this? So like what you have explained, Evina, either way, old style kayak di upload atau like these days it's a link to the email of the recommender directly. Either way, you will still have to contact the referees.
Mhm. And I actually still see. I heard it from some of my advisees where they kind of like doing it like semi new. Jadi kayak the university will give the link to the referees, but then instead of like earlier I said there are universities where the university will give the referees a link and then the referees will open it and then they will see like some kind of questions and boxes for the referees to fill. But then there are also universities where they're going to give the referees a link, and then when they open it they still want the referees to upload the old school document. So it's like with the letterhead and everything, but then you scan it and then the referees will upload it. So it really depends on the university. So
From the university. That's right. So, but yeah, either way, kita nggak akan. So the applicants won't be the one who upload it or submit it or copy paste the letter and everything and submit it. Okay, it will be the referees and the recommender. And so, mau di-upload atau mau dari link aja, whatever the methods is, you will have to give a heads up to your recommenders. Okay, they need to be ready to give you the letter. Otherwise, it won't work. Okay. And okay, I think I saved the last question because I find it the hardest. From Fakrana Izazi, the Zoom. To apply for law school, we have to apply through a website called alsec.org, and we upload the letter of recommendation to Alsec. The question is the recommendation letter addressed to the school I am applying for, or there are no addressing to specific law school? If I'm applying to 5 different schools, so my referees have to write 5 different school name in it. So I think this is also applicable to other universities and field of study and programs. If you're applying to more than one universities, then I think this is applicable, yeah, Fina, yeah. So what we usually suggest is the referees already know the list of programs and university that you're applying to. If you want to make the content more, detailed in the sense kayak, oh, I'm recommending A for this program in this university, then you need to give your recommenders the list of the universities and programs that you're applying to so that they can change it accordingly in the letter. But either way, kalau untuk LSEC, I think it's very technical. I would say it depends on the platform itself. If it's, I'm imagining if you go into LSEC that there will be like tabs on things you want to upload for the application. And I'm not sure if, it's under each university that you have to upload each letter, or it's just under one general tab where you just put in the letters of recommendation. That's what I was trying to explain in the chat box. It's very
yeah,
technical. Yeah.
yeah, it's very technical question. The thing is, I have not got a chance to take a look at LSEC website, because all of my advisees have never asked for any help specifically, because I think it's very straightforward. So I don't know the answer to that, but my guess, it will be general. It will be a very general letters of recommendation that will be applicable to all universities. But that's just my guess. I would say I'm pretty sure the apa petunjuknya pasti ada di websitenya si Alsec. I'm pretty sure of it.
So yeah, that's my only question. Kayak kalau misalnya dia benar-benar cuman uh, letter of recommendation minta diupload di sini misalnya, terus kayak di bawah university tab-nya udah nggak diminta, then that's for all of the universities. So you need to make it general. But if like under each of the university name they still ask for a letter of recommendation in each of under the university, then you can kind of guess that, and it makes sense it's for each of the school, right? So I think that's that. But do double check with LSEC directly to avoid any mistake, because for LSEC and other institutions, they actually go independent, right? Like Fulbright and everything. So please check to their own website. And
it's pretty similar to if you want to study public health, similar to like law, where so with law you go to LSAC, with public health you go to SOFAS. And it's pretty similar. So kalau untuk S1 kita ada juga apa? Common app, right? So it's like technically it's just like one platform. You're applying to all the universities you want to go to into one. So yeah, my guess, it will be just like one for all. So
yeah, that's typical of a platform that you can apply to multiple universities at once. Typically they only ask for like the generic letters just to ease the applicants, right? But do check again, because then kadang mereka update things that we don't even know, right? You just need to double check that. I think that's it from all of the questions that we have tonight, Pina.
Actually, just left in the chat. Any more questions for us? Maybe not related to rest of our CV, because technically still have some time. But if you guys have something to ask, we got Yan here. Another question, please. What is the most used method of sending recommendation letter required by U.S. university website? Upload link or direct email from the reference? It will depend on the university, but from my advisees, and I don't know about you, Santika, but a lot of my advisees, the way the letter of recommendation work is by like provide the university with the email of the recommenders, and then the university will contact the recommenders, and the recommenders will receive a link.
Yeah, and like what Tina explained earlier juga, even if they send the link, and we were saying if the old style is the recommenders actually uploading the file, the letter in electronic file. But even if these days they send you a link via the email, and then they still ask for them to upload it, it's still common. So yeah, either way, it will just work out if your recommender kind of know what to expect. Okay. Terus ini dari Haikal. Hi, this is an out of topic question. I want to ask.
This is my favorite question actually, but I will let Santika read it.
Master program in the US, where could I ask? Because I find an interesting program in Europe and Asia, but I couldn't find it in US university.
So it seems like Haikal needs some convincing to study in the US, and that's gonna be my expertise.
Yes,
so I don't know, Haikal, if you want to be a little bit more specific, what is the master's program that you're really looking for? But if you want to just kind of, you need some convincing to do. Let's do it one-on-one. I'll be here tomorrow, and then we can talk about what is it about Europe and Asia that you find really interesting. And once you do that, I'm gonna make you think that the US will be more than that.
I think Haikal here already met me for one-on-one, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, oh no, you haven't. Okay, so that's maybe another hikal. But yeah, if you are looking for a certain program that you found in Asian countries or European countries, but you cannot find it in US, let Fina or me try to play around with keywords and find it for you, because we're pretty confident, yeah, Fina. There are more things that you can find compared to you cannot find in US in terms of the programs. Yeah.
I know like how a lot of countries like in Europe, they have like a really neat website where it's easy for you to navigate, like find like the right program and what have you. In the US, there are what is that website, Santika, that a lot of our advisors
Uh, I oh
one web
US rank US rank.
no, there's something like this website where it's kind of like a database. I totally forgot. The thing is, I'm not like a big fan of um that one website. Ugh, I can't remember what is it on top
I
of my head.
remember it's called uh Peterson something.
Yeah, there you go, Peterson. So
That's it.
yeah, so it's like a database, but then I'm not a big fan of that website at all. Mutfi here say US news, absolutely, but when you go to US news and then you try to navigate inside, it will be hard. My favorite and Santika's favorite is just by using Google keywords.
We just play around with the keyword and then
Yeah, it was just amazing.
results, regardless of if they're third party. If we can find the university directly, that's even better. But if not, it will be third party website. But we don't care what kind of third party website. We just, when we go to the third party website, we just see what kind of information that they can give to us. And then after that, we take that information. Let's say they put in program the program that you want is available in University A, B, and C. So what we'll do is go to University A, B, and C and check that out directly from the official university website. So we don't want to rely too much on the information from the third-party website. And also, if you go to US News or other third-party website, right, Pina, they will give you ranks, which can be different from one to another website. And we don't really want you to fixate your target on that. We want you to get to know the program itself, see if it's suitable for you or not.
Yeah. And then another thing about when you're trying to find like the right program in the US, like Santika said, we're not like just rely on the ranking, like ranking in general, but we can start with like the ranking of that specific program. So thank you, Mutfi, for sharing with the US news. Usually that's how we start, or usually that's like how the Google system will show us on top. So if you kind of, I don't know, like say chemical engineering US University, and then most likely US news will pop up, right? And then you can use that website, and then they will give you like a ranking for that specific engineering program in the US. But then if you see like university number one is MIT, number two is Harvard and what have you, it doesn't mean that MIT is the right program for you, right? But you can kind of like just use that list as a whole, but then at the end of the day you will want to visit each of the university website, and then that's when you really want to decide for yourself if that program is for you. And so the way I always tell my advisees is when you try to find the right program, you have to be very selfish. So it's not about you trying to put yourself, it's not about you try to match yourself to the university just because of the name, but it's about you, but it's about like the university has to be matched with what do you want to use the degree for. And and it will make more sense if you know exactly what you want to do and which is reflected on the essay, so everything is connected, right? So because at the end of the day, with all the requirements, the annoying requirements for you to have to submit if you want to study in the US, it's like a lot of work. But then it really defeats the whole thing if you just pick the university just because of the name, just because of, like it's, like big name universities and all. But you really want to make sure that this is really what I need. And this is something that I don't really see the need from students if you want to study like in Europe or in Asia. I know you'll be like, what? And then if you want to know more about it, we can do like one-on-one advising session, or maybe we can talk about it like on the Saturday session next week. Yes, I'm going to
We
talk
can.
more about
We can. So I'm good. I'm gonna put the register link here. If all of you here are here in Zoom, you guys know what to do with how to register. You go to the At America website, go to the event page, and then register for this. But I'm just gonna give you a shortcut later on, like the next two events, which is how to write statement of purpose and personal essay, and also what we can basically do for you as Education USA advisors. What we are trying to advocate and what Tina was just explaining is actually it's all about the best fit and the holisticness. It's not because, oh, I want to go to Harvard because it's Harvard, I want to go to MIT because it's MIT. No, but you are looking at, okay, they have the program that I want that can help me or like be the stepping stone to for me to reach my goal. And that's what you are going to write in your essays to answer the prompt that they give to you to make you a good candidate. It's not like Pina said, when you want to try to be selfish, it's like not thinking if they will accept you, but will I choose this university and this program because of what they can give to me? Can they give this to me or not? Okay, not the opposite. But of course not. I think there's no one situation or criteria for everyone or all of advices that come to us. And that being said, this will only applicable if you're not like your priority is not applying to LPDP or Fulbright. Maybe Fulbright can, but LPDP have this list of universities and programs that they support. So if you are planning to fund your study through LPDP, then it's a good start to start looking on the program and the university from their end. Okay, um, I think that's the most strategic way to approach it realistically because you need the funding. For Fulbright, it's a bit different in a way. You need to focus on Fulbright, and once you get it, they will guide you and recommend you the schools. Okay, so also less worry on your part. But yeah, it's a different system in a way. Okay, I think that's just a bit of brief,
yeah.
out of topic, but we love this. Oh,
Yeah,
for
and we
Prana,
have another one.
it's out of topic too. It's fine. My first goal university required 105 TOEFL IBT score. I think it's pretty high for me. Does America provide TOEFL prep, or do you have any other school prep or private one-on-one recommendation? Thank you. So I don't know where you heard it, but you got it right that America actually made TOEFL IBT prep course before. We actually made a few times already, Avinaya. Yeah, and
Correct.
the last one, we have the last one recorded, and I actually kind of like make it into a table with the links. So if all of you, anyone here who wants to study to US with an asterisk, if you want to study to US, you want to learn TOEFL IBT or GRE, you can email me here at salim@educationusa.org. I'm going to type it into the Zoom chat box. And if you're not in Zoom, it's Salim, so double S in front, at educationusa.org. Email me and say you need the TOEFL or GRE prep course video recording link, and I'll give it to you. Okay?
Yeah. And since Fahrana here said that she wanted to apply for 2022, you definitely want to stay tuned next year because we probably going to have a new TOEFL IBT prep. But Farhana nih tadi nanya tentang law bukan sih? But
Yeah,
I wanted to kind of like talk a little bit about the TOEFL score because yeah, the TOEFL score, like it's not surprising that the university is asking 105, especially for law. Actually, for law, I actually see a lot of universities ask for 110 even.
Yeah, 110.
Because if you want to study law in the US, your level of English will have to be
Very
way
good.
higher than anyone else, way higher than your peers who are not going to study law, to the point where when I read your essay, it will be very hard for me to understand because like your level of English will be like super high. But the good news, yeah, well, I mean, if you're applying for 2022, you still have a lot of times to prepare for that. But I also want to talk about like TOEFL IBT in general because I actually just realized this just a couple of months ago that I thought, because I knew it from the beginning, that if you want to study master's or PhD in the US, you need to have like a minimum, not all, but like the majority of the universities will, it will be good if you have like a minimum of 90, or even like 90 and above for your score. Whereas actually the general score is what, 80, 79, 79, 80 is actually kind of like the general TOEFL score. But if you want to study masters, you will want to aim for 90. And so I thought it's like normal, right? Because, well, you want to study masters. But then turns out, I actually just heard from some of my advisees that if you want to study in Europe or like in other Asian countries, having like a 79 or 80 on your TOEFL is actually fine. That's like the minimum on what they are asking. And I said, whoa, really? I know like it makes the US uh like even harder to apply, but I don't know, like which type of person are you guys? For me, I like to be challenged. You know what I mean? Like and when you apply to US universities, it's very challenging. So it depends on what kind of a person are you. Do you like to be challenged? Because applying to US universities is, look at the list of requirements that I shared with you. Like it's a lot. Like the GRE and GMAT with essays and everything. It's really different than to just apply to like other countries. So siapa tadi yang nanya, Haikal? This is the perfect session if you want to have like some kind of like a convincing video. I will be happy to do it. But because it will make you think about applying to US compared to applying to other countries, it's just completely different. I'm not saying like if you're applying to like other countries outside the US, it's not good. For me, education is education. Wherever you end up, even if you continue your master's in Indonesia, it's still education. It's just that when it comes to US, there's something different about it. There's something different about the person, apa ya, the mentality of the applicant. So different. So
Exactly. So for people who kind of like don't really are not really up to like challenges when they see the list of requirements, they're just like and then they go to other countries, universities website and see, wow, this is so much simpler. It's so much easier. It's just a different mentality, and that's why when we talk about the preparedness and then the level of what you got and what you bring back to Indonesia when you're back from US is just a bit different in a sense. A lot of our advisees or graduate or alumni from US universities, when they come back here, they already know what they want to do. Most of them, if not all. Because before they go, they have been asked that question like, what do you want? What's your short term and long term? That's very common question for your essays. Okay.
And this is like what makes the other countries different because when it comes to essay, for example, right? Because like in Europe, for example, to the point where they don't care what do you want to use the degree for. That's why if you want to study elsewhere, your academic achievement, what they're really looking for. But in the US, it's not like that. Like I said earlier, it's holistic. They want to take a look at everything, and that's why if you have not attended the session, the essay session, I would definitely recommend you to attend it next week. And then you will see like, oh, okay, so this is why the US is really different.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right, and I also shared if you want to get your CV or resume reviewed by me, you can email it to me in Word document file attachment, already in US template. But if you don't know what US template looks like you just popped in here or all of our other platforms, you missed like the presentation that Vina gave tonight, you can email me to maybe ask on the US template as well. So the email is sign at educationusa.com. So that's in front. And if you're in Zoom, it's already in the chat box.
Mhm.
That's
And
all.
and
Vina?
I like to tell my advisees that because sometimes my advisees come to me and, hey Fina, can you take a look at my essay, and I'll be happy to do it because I love reading essays. And then after that they would be like, oh, now that I'm here, can you actually take a look at my CV? And I'll be like, oh no, we have to. The thing is, I'm just telling you guys. Well, I mean, technically, I can take a look at your CV, but looking at CV is actually not really my favorite thing to do. But I'm telling you guys right now, if you want your CV to be like reviewed, give it to Santika, because Santika is doing it way better than I do, because Santika is, like really pay attention to every, like the content and everything. And for me, I prefer to do it with essay. But if you're in the group with me and you want me to take a look at it, I'll be happy to do it.
Yeah. But then it's the same. So we both of us actually do both documents. Like I also review essay, but then Fina also reviews CV or resume, but then it's just kind of like preference. For me, it's easier for me to kind of like nitpick on very small details just because I just do it. I don't know why.
Santika loves doing that. Santika loves
Yeah,
doing that. For me,
specific.
like when you shared me your resume and CV, first of all, if it's not on the US version, I'll be like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
looking at it. Just change it. And I don't know if you already said it in the chat, Santika, but it's really interesting. Sometimes like people emailed us usually after this session, like, hey Fina, thanks so much for the session. I learned a lot. Here, I attach my resume. Please, can you review it? And then when we open it, what? It's still
Take
in the non-US
photos.
version. Yeah. So just a heads up, guys. We are not going to review your resume or CV until you change it to the US version. So
Yeah.
thank you, Santika, for. I think Santika shared the link
Yeah.
of the sample
I
of
will.
the CV or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so please do that first and then come to either of us for that. But then back on the reviewing resume or CV, for me, when I look at your resume or CV, it's a matter of, if you already have, just as long as you have like the outlook for me, and then I'm just like read it real quick, the content, and then I'll be like, yeah, it's good. But then the good thing about Santika is he will do that, but he will do that, and there's lots of extra that comes with it. So I think I got two of my advices in the past, just like recently, where I said, because they're asking me like, Sofina, can you take a look at this specific working experience? And then I said this. What do you think about it? And then I'm like, I don't know. What do you think? So I don't really have the answer, because for me, it's like you're doing. It's like your part to know whether you're supposed to be there. But I think with Santika, probably Santika can help. Like, oh yeah, why not this? Why not that? So for me, like I prefer to just like go very details on the essay, and then with the resume and CV, just kind of like the
Yeah.
overall.
So the other day, there's this one advisee who asked me to review the CV or resume, and she's going to apply for law school, and I tried to find kind of like a template, U.S. template for her because her CV or resume is still not in the U.S. template. And I actually found that it's a bit interesting that law students probably have, different categories to add into their CV and resume. So here is for law schools.
See,
So
even Santika has that link. I don't.
I Google it. It's what we do. And then this is from another one for law schools as well. And I'll give you the general one later after this. Trying to find it.
How is it different, Santika?
So if you see here, it's kind of like they will ask you for, let's see, they want you to put in kind of like your license, because then for law students, I think you know that kayak di Indonesia, if you want to be certain kayak lawyer, you maybe need certain certification or something like that, kayak notaris atau apa gitu. And then there are other things as well, kind of like skills and interests. Maybe that's important for law students, karena kayak law have like different categories, kayak fokus ya. Kayak mungkin kamu lebih ke apa, arbitrary or criminal law or whatever, you know. And yeah, I think di sini ada juga research and teaching. If you are teaching, ini I recommend the second one in the first template that I give. Yeah, with the leadership or service as well, if you guys have it. But yeah, it's pretty much the same, but maybe for like law students,
Yeah. Sometimes,
yeah.
And have you heard about quantitative resume? Something like from your advice? Yeah.
I did 3 times, and I'm still learning about that. For now, I think it's kind of, so ada 2 jenis. Ada yang ngomong kayak, satu, you need to include your quantitative courses in the past. Ada yang kayak secara quantitative means like, you know, your bullet points when you explain your achievement at work or experiences research atau apa, you need to include like the numeric value, kayak you know, hit the sales target of, let's say, $1 million or whatever. That's also quantitative. So there are 2 types, I think, for quantitative. It depends, but quantifying is always a good thing if you can, as much as you can in your CV or resume. But yeah, there are just I tried to ask one of my advisees to quantify the, you know, the bullet point and achievements, and sometimes they will go like, oh, but it's kind of like confidential atau gimana kalau ada certain companies yang you cannot disclose like the number of certain clients or whatever target that you guys have in the company, then by all means don't do that, because then takutnya malah you are leaking information that you shouldn't have. It really depends. But what do you get from quantitative resume or CV, Vina?
I normally say I don't know. and,
Okay.
and I mean, I would take a look at it, but I'm just nggak berani untuk give the review. You know what I mean? Because all I know is, you know, just like the overall look of the resume in general. But I think with quantitative, I don't think I can give like some comments on the content. Like, and then I think with quantitative resume, I think there are some universities that have the sample of that. So
yeah. So yeah, that's what I got from the quantitative. It really depends on the program that you're applying to and the schools. Kayak tadi aku bilang, kayak ada yang minta sampai sedetail kalau kamu ada gap year, kalau kamu kerja salary-nya berapa harus di-include dan segala macam. So it's very very detailed depending on the program and university. Itu harus lebih teliti di situ. But yeah. Okay, I vouch for Santika to give another presentation on different type of resume. Oh my god, and I did different types of standardized tests. But yeah, I probably could do different types of resume and CV. But then again, you guys will kind of like get lost in the very small details that you probably won't need. Kayak there's this advisee come to me with the CV or resume, kayak, ini kurang spasi di sini. That's what I did. Ini kurang spasi. Ini kapitalnya nggak sama di atas. And then
I can give the comment. Jadi kayak memang pas when someone share with me, I will just kind of like look, kayak misalnya marginnya jauh banget gitu kan. Jadinya kayak dia end up with a page-ish gitu kan. Sebenarnya kayak ganggu banget nih, kayak udah kamu marginnya coba dipendekin dikit terus di dempet-dempetin, jadi kayak end up with one, and then they will be like, oh, you can do it, yeah, it's okay, you know. And then sometimes kayak misalnya ada, iya, kalau ada yang miring-miring, I can take a look at it, but just the content, it's something
it's
that
just the content.
maybe
Yeah, and it takes time to really, read on each of your bullet points. And sometimes if you guys go really long for each bullet point, then it gets like, okay, what are you trying to say here? Long sentences tend to make readers get lost. So that's what another thing that I take a look at, kayak the length of your sentence. Terus kayak kalau yang ini udah mention this item, terus next bullet pointnya juga item itu lagi, aku kayak, can you merge this?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are just some of the things that we look at. But yeah, technically biasanya CV sama resume itu not much to give input on, but just the template. So once you get the template right, it's really hard to mess up CV or resume, unless you miss the detailed instructions that I mentioned. Okay, from the university, not me. Terus ini, oh yeah, do you guys have any input on what topic that you guys want us to cover? Because we're actually trying to, apa ya, to make variations ya, Vina, ya, on our events. And we actually have extra time now, so why not? If you guys have any questions, let us know in the chat box or in the comment box in the social media platforms.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, maybe we can update a little bit, San, for the past the past few months. Probably it's been really crazy for Santika and I, because we have received massive amount of advisees, because they are really close to the deadline. So these are the people who are applying for the fall 2021, and then like probably like in December, from here on it will be kind of like slow, but then it will pick up again next year, because there are universities that have their deadline like in February, March. But it's been fun, San. It's been really fun. But then that's why like I really like to check in with you guys. You guys who are watching these sessions, are you guys here for 2021 or for 2022? And despite the fact that we actually have a lot of advisees, doesn't stop us from urging anyone to keep coming to us, you know? So, yeah.
And that's why we are doing this, right? It still have to, we are doing this, of course, not for the students who already applied, because the deadline has passed like December 1st or 15th, which, by the way, December 15th is coming up, and I still have one advisee coming for the last review session. So if you guys can, if you are watching this and you're planning for 2022 or 2023, it doesn't matter. We actually encourage people to come in as early as they can to us, 1 or 2 years before that, especially if you're planning to seek full funded scholarship, because sometimes doesn't go as we plan, right? We have successful students who apply for more than one times in order for them to get the funding. So what we want you to do is kind of like project yourself, like make your own timeline and then come to us as soon as you can. Ikwan here said university and program introduction, because I haven't found the right university to apply. Wow, that's very broad, but we will try. We did like specific program before, like right, the MBA and then LLM before. But yeah, if we are going to do the step one for the event, it's going to be very interesting. We might just like share screen and what we do with the Google.
That's what I have in mind, and probably we can do that on the session on Saturday next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will be fun. Santika or I, we can share screen and then show you how to navigate all this, like on Google and everything. And I think something that I would really like to start doing for next year would be, well, I mean, something that we've already done, Santika, like we invite, like what you said, like an MBA session, but I would like to really highlighting the person, some more like testimonial, right? Like how this person navigate finding the right program and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited for 2021 already. So
yeah, despite all of this mess in 2020, we wish 2021 is so much better, right?
yeah, and we just can't
Um,
wait until go back to normal. We can do it from America, like where you are now.
yeah. Well, we will take new normal for that, but yeah, as long as we can get back to the site, right? And for Ikwan, please come on 19th, which is next Saturday, tanggal 19, for the session that we said we are going to try that out. So you can give us like what kind of program that you are trying to find, so that we don't get lost, trying to play around with the keywords. If you
Yep.
tell us what kind of program that you're interested in, like let's say business or whatever that you want the program to have, then that's a good start for us to play around with the keywords.
Mm-hmm.
In the first place, you need to know dulu kayak aku interestnya ke apa gitu. Is it engineering? Is it business? Is it economics or what? So it has to start from something general dulu, baru kita go into the details, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else that you guys want us to answer? We have 9 minutes left, Vina.
If not, then we can wrap it up. But yeah, is there anything that you want to share, Santika? I probably just gonna say something real quick.
I have one person already asking for the TOEFL and GRE prep course material. Thank you so much. I love
Nice.
that.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you guys are just here and what is the TOEFL and GRE prep course, she's talking about. We had this prep course in at America before, 12 sesi each, the GRE and TOEFL IBT. You have the recording link. If you want to learn it, you can email me and get that link, 12 of the links that you can learn. Satu sesi kayak about an hour. So that's kind of like a full prep kayak if you are signing up to pay, expensive courses yang
Yeah,
private.
by the way, I love bragging to people about the fact that we have this because I'm telling you guys, if you share this with like any uni prep, any standardized tests prep in Jakarta or like wherever, they will hate us. They
Yeah.
will hate us because we're giving it for free. This is like full prep. Like
And-
elsewhere, we're going to pay like millions and millions,
Millions.
but here, this is free.
Yes.
And we
I
might do
think-
it again next year probably.
Yeah, it's expensive, and we actually find a very good moderator for each of this field of expertise that they have. Jadi kalau TOEFL IBT, it's a certified ETS facilitator. Kalau GRE is also a lecturer who is really good in quantitative and very good in the verbal section as well. So we are sharing that because we want to support people who wants to study to US. And
yeah, and this is what we do. This is what Education USA does. Sometimes people think like, why are you guys doing this? Like kayak kemarin banyak banget orang yang kayak, Vina, I can't thank you enough. Like you are willing to read my essays like over and over and over again. But this is what we do. Like and it's all for free. Like
and we love what we do.
Yeah.
And we love what we do, and that reflects to that's why I'm telling you we have this resources that you can get from us and everything like that. Terus juga I always tell because one of my advice or no actually a lot of our advices kayak nggak enak gitu ya, kayak udah datang sekali buat review essay atau CV terus kayak oh ya see you looking forward to your next revision, terus dia yang kayak oh, can I send my revision? You still want to check this? Like you can still check my revision later? Jadi kayak, they feel that it's only one-time thing, but I always answer with, you can come to us as many as you want, as long as you make improvement. We'll be very happy to have you back.
Yeah, and in fact, we love advices yang come to us very early in the day. Yeah, because kayak the last couple of weeks or like the past month, we actually have a lot of advices yang they came to us and is very close to the deadline. Like we really want to help people, but then if you come to us very close to the deadline, how can we do that, right?
Yeah.
So aku ada beberapa yang kayak mereka bilang, oh like udah udah seneng banget nih, dokumen-dokumen yang lain udah komplit semua, tinggal selesai. And then I was like, when is the deadline? Like next week. And I was like, what makes you think that your essay is already good? And then mereka langsung panik gitu kan. And then when I look at the essay, I have to be honest, right? Because I can't like give you like false hope. So then kelihatan ternyata essaynya memang belum gitu. And then like for that 1 week, there's not much time for us to like, really help you. So and please don't I hope you're not gonna be that person. So
to be honest, I have turned down 1 or 2 yang deadline-nya kayak H-3, H-2, H-1 just because I don't. So let's say you send us like H-1 before you want to submit it, and then there's always things that we will kind of like comment on or like want you to improve, and that can make you panic atau kayak make you feel not ready, and everything like that. And so we don't recommend that at all. So please don't come to us kayak very close to the deadline, because it will make us hard to give you a good review too, Yeah. So help us and help you.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you, Fina.
Thank you so much, Savika. Thanks so much for the help. And I really hope you guys are, like learn something new tonight. I really look forward to having you guys again next week, same day, same time, and then another one on Saturday. The fun part. On Thursday is going to be serious because you're going to learn a lot. You probably will want to take like a lot of, like take notes and everything. On a Saturday will be like the fun session where we just, just talk. I want you guys to like turn on your videos. Feel free to just like ask questions verbally over, like a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Santika, again. And I will give it back to Fifi.
For sharing the great session tonight with America TV. Back again with me, Fifi, guys. So if you guys still remember that earlier in the event, I asked you guys a question. And the question is, true or false, Purdue has released a new Master of Science degree. But unfortunately, no one can answer the question. But it's okay. I'm still going to share with you guys the correct answer. And the correct answer is true. Purdue University's new Master of Science in Graduate Studies degree was approved by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. Alright, so if you guys might be wondering how can you develop an idea for a place like this, it's very easy and simple. Just go to our website at www.atamerica.or.id, go to collaborate with us and choose create an event. All event proposals coming to us will be reviewed and your event might be featured here soon. Also, don't forget to follow our social media account. We're very active in Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at AT America. And we also have YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe at AT America. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. Thank you for joining with us. Thank you for your participation. I hope to see you guys again in the next At America TV. Bye, everyone.